It's time for Show Me the Franchise.
With Thomas and Frederick. With Thomas and Frederick.
It's time for Show Me the Franchise.
With Thomas and Frederick. With Thomas and Frederick.
Welcome to Show Me the Franchise, the podcast that talks about franchises of all shapes, sizes, backgrounds, genres, and types. I am one of your hosts, Tom Stadler, here as usual with my fellow host, the man of the walkway, or the man who can work a catwalk like no one else I know, Mr. Fred Dakin.
I liked that. I was waiting for it because I feel any sort of thing I would have thrown out would have been very generic. Like, I'm ready for my close-up.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like even a thing that people say in the modeling world.
I mean, I feel like I always think of, what is that, Sunset Boulevard? Or, right, the movie?
Oh, I was
right?
thinking of like The Place.
Oh, sure. I was kind of thinking about something Zoolander even related to.
Yeah, that was the other thing. I was like, most of my modeling stuff I know is from Zoolander, but I'm glad we have a guest who knows more than us about
Yes,
it.
somebody who can really model this modeling topic for us. And of course, this week, Fred, we are talking about a very exciting topic of America's Next Top Model, a reality TV show, which I think ended now almost, no, not quite a decade. I think we're still a year off of that. It was 2015, I believe, that it ended.
Oh, wow.
But even still, one that has persevered because it was one of the OGs in like the...
Yeah, this is our third walk into doing reality TV, right? We did Survivor.
We did
With
Survivor.
Shannon.
Yes.
We did RuPaul's Drag Race, right?
Yep. And I think those might be the only two so far.
So
yeah,
this is like
so far.
another trilogy closing. Well, we'll probably do other.
I was going to say, reality TV never dies.
We haven't even gotten to Top Chef yet.
Oh, I'm giving you the what is this? What is this gesture?
Italian handshake?
I mean, it's not Italian handshake. But you kind of know what I mean. Anyway, let's get to introducing our guest. Joining us this week is local comedian here in Milwaukee, Mr. Michael Kittelson. Michael, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining. This is an exciting endeavor because we have not done a reality TV show in a while.
Ooh, okay. Well, I'm happy to bring it back.
Yeah, so now you're on reality podcast right now is what you're doing.
Wait a minute. Oh, my God. There's cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
That kind of blew my mind for a second, and it shouldn't have. I was like, what?
I mean, this is all non-scripted. We're just recording, shooting from the hip
So
here.
we have to get in a fight now, huh?
Yes.
Oh, God.
We got to get in
Drama
a
to
cat
cause
fight.
drama.
That's the scariest part for me.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
I hope everyone signed their waivers before you entered the studio
In blood.
today. Yeah, in blood.
Right?
Is that how they do it on the show?
That's how they do it on this show.
That's right. If they were up to Tyra, maybe they would have, but they might have had to stop her at
This
some
show is
point.
produced by Tyra, right? State of the franchise?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
great.
No, she's a silent partner in their production here.
Awesome.
Before we get into talking about America's Next Top Model, I did almost forget Fred. We do have our little talk back segments once in a while.
Oh.
And boy, did we get some talk back about hair metal on our last
God.
feed episode.
Oh.
Yeah, so we had some fans write it, or basically send me some long messages about Kelly C, who was a fan of the franchise and listens to the episodes, had written in to tell me about her husband's high school experience doing hair metal. And I think this kind of is a good segue, believe it or not, because she wanted to share some photos, which I won't share in the public, and I'll keep his name under wraps. But basically just showing like his very like glamorous look, like his very hair metal look in high school, and just like very much trying to model himself after the bands like Van Halen and everything. And it's like, it made me think of like all the work and effort these models put in to making themselves look like the stunning models they are on the show. Right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
basically, I guess this guy has a t-shirt collection from high school that he takes to every show he goes to now and chooses a t-shirt that will go for it as his band t-shirt for the night. Whether or not, I don't know if it's only for hair metal bands that they're seeing or whatever, like, but they saw Def Leppard, and I guess this guy comes with like an attaché case, like full of t-shirts.
Full of just Def Leppard t-shirts?
Oh, it's not just Def Leppard. It's like all these different bands. It's like Motley Crue, White Snake, Van Halen, Guns N' Roses, like you name it. But anyway, I wanted to give that a shout out because they were like, they were very insulted that I did not ask for their input on the episode prior. I mean, very tongue in cheek, obviously, wasn't very serious about that, but it was still great to hear from somebody talking about it. And if anyone out there has anything else that you want to share as a comment or questions for Show Me the Franchise, we're at showmethefranchisepodcast@gmail.com.
That was so much nicer than I was expecting. I thought it was going to be like, you know, people get really into music and subgenre.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be something like that.
Yeah. One thing they did talk about was when we were talking about women who rock. And we had mentioned like some of the 80s bands like the Bangles, and we talked a lot about Heart. But we didn't talk about like, and we kind of mentioned like maybe like more of the indie rockers of like the late aughts, which is kind of about the era we're about to jump into here with this episode. But also forgot about the Riot Girls of the 90s.
Yeah.
Like Hole and, or no, not Hole. Garbage? Is that
Garbage,
one? That's what I'm
yeah.
thinking of.
I saw Garbage.
You did?
Yes, at the rave. It was like one of the free shows where you get the tickets in the mail.
How were they?
It was awesome.
Was it a good show?
Yeah, I was, you know, they did it in the ballroom, so it was Garbage, and you know, not a lot of people were there at the rave for Garbage. So you were in this big room, and we were all like right at the stage, and it was a very cool experience.
Wow, that's
cool.
awesome. I feel like everybody sees like one iconic band of some sort at the rave. I don't know. Have you been, Michael?
I've been to the rave. I have seen an iconic Canadian pop punk rock band by the name of Marianas Trench.
Oh, I feel like I've heard of them.
Yeah, they're very good. The lead singer wrote "Call Me Maybe."
Oh, wow.
Of Carly Rae Jepsen.
Really?
Yes, he did.
That's why that name probably sounds familiar.
Yeah. So he wrote that song. He's set.
Wow. I mean,
And,
yeah, the royalties will just keep rolling in first.
Definitely. But his band is like super good. I love their music. So when they came to the rave, I was like, yeah, I'm going.
Nice. Good show. Good show.
Good show. He came up all the way up to the balcony where we were during one of the songs, and we were like way up. He was like right there, just like,
Oh, nice.
you know,
That's awesome.
in all his shirtless glory. I was
Could have used your friend with the attaché full of shirts.
Honestly, could have just been like, hey, man, which one you want here? I got even down here Scorpions. If you're into that. But, you know, on the topic of, we talk about women who rock. We're going to talk about women who rock the catwalk.
there we go.
Whoa. We're back to the runway.
Yes.
careful.
Wow. It's not easy making it look like this, but or sound like this. Either way. But Michael, now getting back to our topic of America's Next Top Model. So, what is some of your experience? Like, when did you first start watching this show, and why has it stuck with you?
Yeah, so I watched starting when I was like 11 or 12.
Okay.
Like it was like cycle 4.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like showing on TV one night, and me and my sister like gathered around. Like I have a younger sister named Amanda, and we were just enthralled by what was in front of us on the TV. Just like, oh, the photo shoots, the catwalk, Tyra being who Tyra is, just like absolutely batshit.
Yeah.
All the drama, you know, everything was like, and then, choosing your favorite, rooting for whoever. We were just very, very obsessed.
Nice.
So yeah, that's where it all started. And then I like got even more obsessed. I like logged into like an internet forum for America's Next Top Model, and like did that throughout high school and college, and like became a moderator, and was like so just like in this world of like that forum, just like that was like my secret world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that like an AOL chat room, or are we talking like GeoCities website or something like that?
It was like allantm.net, and it was like a host site for all of the contestants pictures and like all of their post-show work, pre-show work of everything they did. And then they had a little forum too. And so there we would like discuss all the girls, all the photo shoots, all the cycles.
Right.
We would even host our own little America's Next Top Model competitions. And so I hosted a bunch of those, and they would like go through all of the girls' like portfolios and the theme would be like, oh, a nature shot. And then each week we would all send in our nature shots from that girl's portfolio. There would be 3 judges, just like the show. And then, you know, it would continue. And yeah, I would like run those and participate in those. And did I have a lot of friends in real life? Not particularly. Not particularly. But no, yeah, that's kind of where it all started.
But when you got friends online, who needs real friends?
Exactly, is what you say to yourself. Exactly.
Now, do you get into other reality TV show, or is this just the one that you're really into? Or?
This is the one that I'm like, I was most into from like childhood, besides like a little bit of Big Brother, as well. And then like later now I'm like getting into Survivor too. But yeah, America's Next Top Model was absolutely number 1 for me.
Gotcha.
Wow. Well, so you were on from like the early going then too, because
Oh yeah, like 2005.
Wow.
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy. But I think it's definitely, and I kind of talked about it and we hinted at it early on in the episode too. This was really early on in like reality TV's like life, and certainly like the competition, right? Because I think up until this point, like the reality TV that we had seen until it was more like, you know, like Cops or The Real World, you know, and it was sort of like very like lifestyle shows, or what was that? Big Brother, I think is another
Big Brother,
example
yeah, that
for
was a little
sure.
bit before, yeah.
But then it's like, oh, we can make reality competition stuff where it is a little bit of a blend of like a game show and like those reality shows we had seen. And this is, yeah, I mean, not even a year or 2 after Survivor started.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, like
sounds right.
I think Survivor was probably 2000, and then American Idol was probably around the same time too. And
Yep.
I mean, and these were just humongous shows all at the time. And I know America's Next Top Model was too, just like really big out the gate. It was on UPN though, which is like, that's a dated.
Somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy.
Is that the one like made by the Frog? Is UPN that?
So the history of UPN, Fred. So this was like a smaller channel, and it merged with WB. That was the Frog.
WB is what
to become the CW.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Yeah.
I knew I'm familiar with the CW, but I didn't know it was all this, you know, backstory to it.
Yeah. Well, perhaps we should just talk a little bit about the history here. Unless I don't know, you have anything to. Do you remember watching America's Next Top Model?
No,
Or did you ever remember seeing like ads for it or anything?
not really. Like I was UPN. It wasn't a cable show. It was like public TV.
I think it was on, I don't know. I can't remember.
'Cause I never had cable like ever growing up, except like at my grandparents, and usually I was just watching cartoons. But generally, I don't remember watching anything like this.
I remember I want to say UPN and WB were like basic cable channels, like, or not like, they were like antenna channels, I think.
I'm pretty sure that sounds right.
But I don't know that they were always like included with every antenna, especially if you had like a very older like TV. I don't know, like if they didn't go up to like 24 or whatever, it's like you might not have gotten it.
Yeah, we had like, you know, the Fox, which had The Simpsons and Home Improvement and NBC. Like we had those on the farm, but we didn't really have that. But I guess if you're talking like 2004, 2005, I was living in Georgia then. So still didn't have cable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough because I do remember the show being on, and I thought I used to watch it with my ex-girlfriend because she was very much a reality TV show fan. But I think the show was Project Runway. Not,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Not, yeah. But I think we did watch a couple episodes of America's Next Top Model. I don't remember, though. It all kind of blends together because it was a lot of reality TV at once. A lot of Chelsea lately. A lot of...
Oh, yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah. But so America's Next Top Model was, as I mentioned, was premiered on UPN back in the year 2003.
Yeah.
May 2003. So the first cycle then was on that year. And then
Cycle 1. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Cycle 1, yeah, which, I mean, we'll kind of get into it, was a little different than the later ones, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Very different. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think, so I watched, I'll just show my hand a little bit now. I watched the pilot for the whole series. and then jumped all the way to like one of your recommended episodes for us, Michael, because you provided a wonderful list of episodes to season 9, or sorry, cycle 9. I have to really like get myself into this. It's like this, I have to live and breathe it.
It's just like the Starbucks, like, oh, it's actually called a grande, not a medium.
Yeah. That's true. That's a good analogy. And it was so stark how different it was in season or cycle 1 being more like a reality show, I felt like. And cycle 9 is more like you'd recognize it like a Survivor or other type of competition.
The competition's more upfront in the later seasons.
Mm-hmm.
It felt way more surrounding that than like, here, we're going to watch them walk around, and hang out and talk to each other.
Yeah. I mean, like cycle 1, like Tyra is mostly normal.
Mm-hmm.
She's not like pulling gimmicks, doing any sort of dramatic,
Yeah.
thing. She's not trying to. She's wants to do it as like a reality show type and show what it really is to, try to make it in the modeling industry.
Right. And it felt like, she let the show breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
Because then we jumped all the way, or I should say, I went all the way to the end of the season or cycle 1 then and watched the finale because I wanted to see. It was one of the recommended episodes from someone else. Like, I watched the first cycle finale. I actually knew who won before but when the minute she got introduced, I knew.
You knew because you're like, oh, I think I even recognize her a little bit.
So there's another reality TV show, and spoilers for cycle 1 if you haven't watched America's Next Top Model, but the winner is Adrian Curry. And there was a VH1 reality show. I don't know if you guys remember. It's called The Surreal Life. It had like Corey Feldman, Vanilla Ice, like Charo, and
Flavor Flav on that one.
Yes.
Okay.
That was the one I was talking about in the Creed episode where like he and Brigitte Nielsen had like romance.
Oh, okay.
So in like season 4, I don't know why I watched this show. It's like one of those things where you're like, okay. But Adrian Curry was in season 4, and like her whole like thing was like, oh, she was the winner of the first Top Model season. And then she had like a romance in that with like, I think his name is Jordan Knight.
Christopher Knight.
Or Christopher Knight.
Christopher Knight, who was Peter Brady.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Brady Bunch.
They got, I believe, married.
Yeah.
And then they had their own show too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was like My Fair Brady or something like that.
Yeah. It's like
it's a great name for a show.
Yeah, it is. It's really good.
Little tidbit about Adrian. She and Tyra got into like a fight.
Really?
And Adrian got cut out of the promos like moving forward in the beginning of the show.
Really?
She got cut out.
Was this in cycle 1 or after that?
So after cycle 1,
Really?
he was not like really mentioned as a winner moving forward.
Wow.
Yeah, because
Crazy.
Adrian was like kind of talking crap about the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I do kind of want to dive into a little bit. I don't know if we want to even get into that now. I feel like we still need to set the stage for what America's Next Top Model is. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about, let's just dive into cycle 1. Let's talk a little bit about like the starts of it. Because so you obviously started at cycle 4, you said.
Yeah, cycle 4.
So did you have to watch reruns?
Yeah, like it was hard to access like those older cycles unless they were like actually on the TV.
Right.
So, you caught them when you could, or like if you saw that there was going to be like a marathon on whatever, VH1 or MTV or whatever was showing.
Right.
Then you were like, okay, 4:00 tomorrow.
Wow.
We're going to watch cycle 2 because we've never seen it before.
Sure.
And then, getting on the forums and everything, like, yeah, you just rewatch them and you just know exactly what happens in each one at that point. But yeah, didn't catch those earlier cycles live for sure.
Wow. Well, which obviously it's like if you have that entry point later on, like that's the only way to watch, which like it gives me like some nostalgia too. Like that's how I encountered Buffy the Vampire Slayer too. I think I jumped in during like season 4 or 5 and like it was, but they were replaying all the seasons on FX. So I would do the same thing. I had to catch it like the next day. I was like, okay, they're going to get through season 1 now, season 2.
Yeah.
So I finally had to like catch up to it when they moved to the CW.
Right.
Or I think it was UPN around that time. So bringing it back full circle because this was like, I think one of the big premiere shows that CW brought over when it had its merge with, or when it merged UPN and WB together. They were like, America's Next Top Model is like our reality TV show. It's going to be the spotlight thing. So you were watching cycle 1, and I guess maybe just tell us a little bit about like like the progressions of like the show and like what's kind of a typical episode like?
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, well, you know, if you watch the first episode of each cycle, it's the casting episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, in most of the cycles, I don't know if they even do one in cycle 1 though. I can't remember. I know in cycle 2 they don't.
It's a light casting. It's almost kind of like they have their list kind of cut down.
Sure.
And they did have a couple people. They were like, oh, you know, I could maybe do this, and then they kind of get cut right away out the gate. But
Yeah.
I don't feel like it was a lot. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, it
now.
might be like top 20, and then down to in cycle 1 it was 10.
Yeah.
And then and that's one of the differences between the earlier cycles is that like they didn't have the budget for a huge cast like 12, 13, 14, 16 I think at some point they get up to. But yeah, smaller cast,
Okay.
smaller budget. Yeah.
What is like the maximum cast that they get up to then in later seasons?
I want to
Or
say
cycles?
like 17 or 18 at one point.
Holy cow.
Yeah, yeah, in the later seasons like after they like introduce guys, I know they do too in the later seasons too.
Oh,
I
wow.
haven't watched those seasons.
Oh, sure.
No interest, but
That when it got bad.
yeah, it's like I'm done. Really lost their way.
Yeah, because you kind of you zeroed in on like seasons 1 through 10. It's like the Simpsons rule here, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, like the earlier seasons are really good. Really good. That's really the meat and potatoes right there. But kind of, yeah. And like 11, 12, 13 are good too.
Mhm.
But they're whatever. It's fine. Like we don't even talk about them. But then after 14, it's just like, okay, hold on to your seatbelts. Is that what they say?
Oh yeah.
Hold on to your seatbelts. Yeah.
Oh man.
But anyway, sorry. Back to like what a regular like episode would look like. They do like a challenge. They do like a challenge up top usually. That's introduced by like usually the director of photography, J. Manuel, Mr. J.
Oh.
Because I don't know if you know this, but there's 2 J's involved. One's Mr. J. Manuel. He's a director of photography. He's the guy with like the silver hair.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and all like he's just always made up to perfection. And then there's Miss J Alexander, who is like the runway diva extraordinaire, who like coaches all the girls with the runway walks.
Yeah.
So like they'll do that challenge hosted by Mr. J. And then they'll do a photo shoot each week with a certain theme. And usually it's, you know, crazy out of the off the wall like insanity. And Tyra's like, this is normal. This is how the modeling industry works. You're gonna be in a giant salad bowl, which is a true, you know, photo shoot they did. And then they go to panel and get judged on, you know, the challenge they did, whether it be like a runway challenge and then the photo shoot as well. And then each week one girl is eliminated and sent home.
Yeah.
And then they do that a bunch of times. And then they have the winner.
And then narrow it down because it's usually just 2 in the finale, or is it 3 sometimes?
They've done it a few different 2 in the finale, like, you know, when they're saying America's Next Top Model is.
Sure.
But like, yeah, they've done top 3 and top 4 for those like finale episodes.
Got it.
Switching
Okay.
up, kind of like I think Drag Race does that too.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to remember where it landed in the seasons that we watched on that, but I think it was kind of very similar. Of like, you know, top 2, and then here's who it is. Which I guess there are a lot of parallels between like Drag Race and America's Next Top Model,
Yeah.
right? In a way, because it's like a lot of like similar structure in that they're doing these competitions throughout the season, and I mean they really are trying to like represent like I am the most like iconic star here, right? Like, so
Yeah.
very interesting. Do you watch Drag Race?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not caught up on like the most recent seasons. But,
Sure.
Yeah, I have watched most of them. I think I'm gonna go see like All Stars live in September
nice.
in Chicago.
Fun.
Yeah,
I've heard those shows are a lot of fun.
yeah, I'm excited for that.
Nice.
Yeah,
Cool. Well, I think it's good to get a setting like of what this show looks like when it's starting to be run through. But I think what really makes Top Model, at least if you read any articles about it or anything else, is Tyra and her relationship with the contestants. I don't know. Do you want to speak a little bit to Tyra? Because certainly in
Sure.
the little I saw, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I don't know her deal and what people think about her, like her persona.
Yeah.
But I was watching, and then like the tide would just turn all of a sudden,
Yeah.
like in moments, and I was like, "Whoa, what's happening?" And so yeah, I guess I know Tyra from Halloween Resurrection, where her and Busta Rhymes are like making a reality show in Michael Myers' house, and
Oh, yeah.
they're like, so it's kind of a similar role. So
Her prestigious movie work. Yes.
that's
yes.
what I know. And from Higher Learning, she's in that as well. But yeah, tell us about Tyra Banks.
Yeah, I mean, I think what ultimately America's Next Top Model is a vehicle for Tyra, just to get Tyra's name out there for whether it be in infamy or whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, like her antics are just insane. Like I mean some examples, like she pretends to like faint at one point, and like she goes through it for like 5 minutes, this whole 5-minute charade where she's like, girls, I just don't think I'm feeling very well. And then she like falls over, all the girls freak out. And then she's like, and that's acting. And it's just like, oh my God, Tyra.
She pulled that move in Halloween Resurrection too.
Yeah, copy and paste. But yeah, like stuff like that where it's like, what are you doing? Or I don't know, that Cycle 4 episode where she freaks out at Tiffany, where she loses her marbles at Tiffany.
Yeah.
And you're almost like, is this scripted? Is this real? Is this fake? Like you just like
Yeah.
watch it and you're like, what am I even watching?
That was the first one you recommended. The I'm trying to remember the context and what happened. They were doing like, was that the pictures with where there was the guy and they were like having a pillow fight?
Yeah.
And he gets eliminated. Okay, yes, that was the first
And-
one I watched, and that was when I was like, oh wow, what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was supposed to kind of be like, and I think I know this from just, obviously reading and like seeing some of the stuff, but it was like she was eliminated and she was supposed to kind of be like an up and comer, and she just kind of took it in stride like a very good sport, and like Tyra just sort of like lost it on her.
I mean, so Tiffany tried out for Cycle 3, right? She didn't make it because she had anger issues.
Oh, sure.
And like, Tyra, had, go work on yourself, Tiffany. So Tiffany went and took anger management classes and
Wow.
like did the thing. Came back, auditioned for Cycle 4, and Tyra like apparently took special liking to Tiffany and like, apparently really was rooting for her. We were all rooting for her. How dare her?
Sure.
And I had to check it at some point to make sure that it was a legitimate thing, and I still don't believe that. I have my suspicions that Tyra acted that whole thing out.
Sure.
She kind of, based off this and the Fane story, reminds me of, isn't it like the uncle in Arrested Development who like sets up the elaborate scenario to teach the kids a lesson, or like he loses an arm and he's like, and that's why we don't talk in the car or something like that.
Yeah, that's why we don't litter.
Yeah, I feel like she does that, but for like teaching modeling.
Yeah,
like,
it's like she just goes over the limit on what a TV host maybe should be doing. I don't know. It's just it gets to a point where like it borderlines like abuse.
Oh man.
I was feeling that in those like few episodes because I watched pretty much early ones like 4 and 5, I think, and I was just like, even for reality TV, this seems harsh how they're like talking about these contestants.
Yeah.
There's a scene in Cycle 8 where there's a girl named Renee who gets third in the cycle.
Yeah.
And at one point Renee's like having trouble with all the other girls. And Tyra hears about it, and Tyra sits them all down, and Tyra's like, okay, Renee, now I've heard that when someone's having issues that it's good to get it all out in the air. So what we're going to do is have all the other girls tell you to their face what you've done specifically to hurt them in the house.
Oh my God.
Okay, Jasleen, you're first.
Was this during Festivus?
I think it. I don't know what Festivus is.
Oh, it's a dub in Seinfeld. George's dad makes up a holiday called Festivus, and it's where you air your grievances, and you literally go like, "I've got a problem with you."
Literally that. Yeah. Tyra's like, okay, this is what's healthy. This is what I know is healthy.
Oh my god.
And Renee's like in tears, just being battered by all these other people's words. You wronged me this way. You wronged me that way. You didn't clean up your dishes.
Oh,
You're
for
a
crying
bitch.
out loud.
Yeah. Tyra's like, see, all solved. Problem solved.
So she's just a pot stirrer for the most part. It's kind of
Not even like for the maximum part.
yeah.
Not for the most part, for the maximum part, she's a pot stirrer.
She's got like one of those whisk things in the soup that's just like turning into a whip. The whipped dessert.
She is a human. What is it? A blender, like or
Yeah.
or what am I trying to think of? A stand mixer.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
But Tyra knows how to make good TV.
Right.
At least for that era of what, because back then, like there were lots of it seemed like there were like little rules of what you could do on reality TV.
Sure.
But like they were still trying to figure them out.
Yeah, I feel like with reality TV, it was all like, oh, we're going to show everyday life. And they kind of went off that. And you can see this in early seasons of reality TV, at least of what I've seen. And then it's kind of like, we need to juice this up a little bit.
Yeah. We need for Tyra to pretend she has rabies on her own show.
Oh my god.
Which
What?
she did. Yeah. Oh yeah. The Tyra show. Yeah. When Tyra had her own talk show, she got like herself like some fake foam and she foamed at the mouth.
What?
And then she started barking like a dog, like yipping like a Yorkshire Terrier.
Oh my god.
It's a little better that was on her show. I thought this was like a next
so
top
they should did it on
model.
top
I
model.
mean,
And that's why you don't. I don't know.
that's why dogs are hard to work with on set.
Yes, I was like, I couldn't think of an example how this works.
You have to really be a bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy though. Well, and I kind of think about back then we were talking about, comparison to other reality TV shows too, right? Because like American Idol got ratings because people were like, Simon Cowell, what a dick.
Yeah.
But people would tune in to see how he would just undress these people like on air and like, you're terrible. I don't know why you thought you should be here. And it's like, and they're obviously putting people in these positions that shouldn't be here. I was actually kind of curious about that too, if they kind of selected that Tiffany because they knew she had anger issues and wonder if maybe they could push her buttons and that she would go off at like a moment like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Those
Yeah.
producers were relentless in pushing those girls' buttons. Like
Yeah.
they would prevent them from sleeping. They would work long days, nights, and they would stir drama. And then they would be so sleep deprived and they'll push them to their brink. So that's why a lot of times you see those girls like ending up crying in like weird situations that they, why are you? I mean, yeah, we get it. Like, I get that. Like, you cry over that, but it seems a little dramatic. But no, that they have not slept.
They do that on that house remodeling show, I hear too, where they move that van or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
They will keep them up the night before, so they'll have like a crazy emotional cathartic moment when they
Yes.
see their house.
They're looking for those emotional moments, those explosive moments. Yeah.
Which it's interesting too, because, and something that I did find in the history here. So, I mean, like I said, there was not, I think we talked about it up top a little bit too, but there was not a lot here in terms of like development, which was so interesting that it was just kind of sparse. But one thing they did note on is that the writers or the writers on America's Next Top Model were part of like the writer's strike back in 2004.
Oh, well, I thought it was like
Or 2006, yeah.
7, yeah.
And basically though, they were like part of this group that was like, we don't get the same kind of like benefits that script writers get. And I was like, well, that's fascinating because what do writers for a reality TV show do? And you kind of, I mean, which I think you get a better sense like right now, or at least at the time of our recording, Top Chef was in Milwaukee. And like I had heard some stories from people who got to kind of be part of like the shoots and stuff, and they were saying, they'll feed lines to like the judges and stuff of like kind of like quippy remarks that they can make in response to like judges table and all that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, sure, that's probably what they're doing. They're probably not feeding the contestants much. They're probably feeding Tyra and like the other judges. Like, here's some what do you want to say? And they'll kind of be like, oh, I want to tell her that like she didn't do great at that, or like her photos weren't anything spectacular. They'd be like, well, say like a dog wouldn't even like sniff that or something. Not saying anyone says that. Yeah,
I like
Dog
that.
wouldn't even sniff that.
I wouldn't even sniff that.
I got dog on the brain since we had Tyra foaming at the mouth. It's just like this mental image I can't shake. But I'm like, so that's totally what these writers are doing. But I was like, what an interesting concept that like, yeah, like these people were like, well, you're writing for a reality show. You're not a real writer. It's like, the fuck I'm not.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there's lots of things that are pre-scripted, pre-written. And like, I think also just like writing the Tyra mail,
Yeah.
that stuff, that all needs to be pre-written. Tyra's not writing that herself. Dead silence.
I was just thinking about
I feel like
those-
my world got shattered.
I knew. Until I was like, wait a minute. She's not writing it herself. She's not writing it herself. Wait a minute.
Yeah. I really liked in the episode. I know we probably should say this for highlights, but I had to say it now before I forgot. They bring in the acting coach, and he was like the most like picture an acting coach.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes. Oh my, those acting coach episodes, there are multiple, and sometimes they get the girls to like sob uncontrollably with like, talking about any sort of trauma that they've, it's like, is this necessary? Is this necessary for anyone?
I missed the acting coach episode. Is it just Bob Fosse, like a lookalike?
Kind of like the F. Murray Abraham type.
Oh,
Yeah.
acting.
Definitely, yeah. And they were doing like Cogni voices, which was fun because everyone had to like sell the line. Like I think it was like, "Go on, then go," and they were just like
Come
repeating.
on, then go. Wow, she's really good. How'd she might win this one? What surprise? $1,000 in Tory Burch clothing.
It seems like they get good prizes on the show.
Yeah, sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's like you've received a basket of truffles. It's
No,
like,
that's not as good.
and the girls are like, oh, and a T-shirt. Like, oh, but last week they got $10,000 in diamonds.
Right, the diamonds thing, which was blowing my mind. They like got $10,000 worth of diamonds, and they like had to share it with two other contestants. They were like, and pick two friends.
Oh yeah, to stir up maximum drama and choose two favorites of the bunch.
So that actually kind of gets into something I wanted to ask you about too, because obviously I want to start talking about some of the highlights. We don't have a lot of other history. Like I said, it's a very sparse, because I think with reality TV, you're going to find like, well, they changed the location, and it's like,
Yeah.
they introduced more contestants. It's like, well, yes. Okay. Right. We understand. Get bigger, get glitzier, get different.
Yeah.
But getting into like the moments and things about Top Chef, my God, Top Model. I've got everything on my brain. So what were like the reasons that you came back to keep watching? Like you and your sister, you said watched a lot. Like what was it? Just the show in its entirety, or was it the Tyra rant and her weirdness?
Well, yeah, for me there was a certain like there was a certain artistry in the photography side of things there was a certain artistry in the modeling side of things. There's lots of technicalities that is an art, I would say, like the photography, especially in the modeling. And there's a certain like way to do it correctly. And I was just fascinated by all of that side of things too. The production of it, the creativity of it. And yeah, that side of things. And then I just always like found someone to root for usually too.
Yeah.
Like, so that you keep coming back from. And if you watch a cycle and it's like, oh, I guess that doesn't really happen, especially in those early cycles. Like they're very well cast.
Yeah.
You always like pick a favorite if it's for like, oh, she's really actually good at this, or she pissed in a diaper on set, like which happened in Cycle 5 with Lisa D'Amato.
Oh my gosh.
I just picture Tyra like, this is commitment.
Oh, here we go.
See what this girl's doing? This is commitment right here.
Everyone can learn a lesson from her.
Literally, she did not win Cycle 5, but she came back and won All-Star Cycle 17.
Oh
Hell
my
yeah.
gosh.
Yep.
So yeah, and then that was kind of like the pin note on the end of like a lot of the history is that basically with the start of like Cycle 17, they basically just were like, this is no longer, we're not just casting anywhere. It's just going to be an all-stars or something non-typical from that point forward.
Yeah, like that's when they started, I believe, adding male contestants, men, and it kind of like got kind of creative in that sense where it wasn't sticking to the format anymore.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I kind of lost interest after that. Really,
Gotcha.
I think after cycle 17, that was my real last hurrah with it. With all the past girls coming back and being like, okay, let's see what they still have. And cycle 17, I mentioned it before, was the photo shoot with the giant salad bowl.
Yeah.
And they doused olive oil all over. They had like actual raw tomatoes and vegetables, and it's like, or we could have done a studio shoot. Like, we could have done a lot of different things except this, but here we are.
Yeah, right.
Yep. You brought up the photography, and I actually found how it was surprising for me how satisfying I found that seeing them getting the pictures taken and then seeing the final product. I actually found that like exciting.
Yeah. It's definitely like when you get like the camera angles, like the video camera angles on like some of them, you're like, oh, I don't know. That's kind of a weird pose. It's kind of a weird look. And then you see the photo and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I totally get the artistry part of it.
Translates differently. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I guess that does work after all.
Like like the pictures that were always blowing my mind was because a lot of the contestants have long legs, so they would do this pose where it seemed like their legs would go in and then out. And I spent like at least 5 minutes trying to do that at home in the mirror, and I just looked like an idiot, you know? And like
one of these jobs?
yeah, like
exactly.
one of those, but try doing that standing.
Oh, yeah,
and you
no, I
know,
don't
like
think so.
or on
Tom
stairs.
currently has his legs behind, both legs behind his head.
Yeah, I'm basically a human pretzel at the
Yeah.
moment.
That's how he always records.
I mean, listen, I got to be comfortable. But what are, I guess, yeah, and like, you know, the photography is a great thing to see. And I think you calling out the salad bowl is such an interesting thing because I think that's like, if you're telling somebody about what's Top Model all about, like, it's like, yeah, they do stuff like this. But like, what are some of the other big moments throughout all the cycles? And if you want to stick through 1 through 10, I mean, certainly pick from that. But like, what are like these things that really define the show, you feel like?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the judges are a huge part of it, right? So it's, you know, in those earlier cycles, especially 1 through 10, I think Janice Dickinson was on the panel most of those cycles. So she's self-proclaimed first supermodel in the world.
Yeah.
Super high energy, super brass, super, she'll say whatever the heck she's gonna say. And then you have like Twiggy at one point. who was,
Yeah.
one of
From
the
the Muppet
supermodels
movie.
from the Muppet movie. Exactly. But also, yeah, she got her start in fashion like in the, I think 60s, 70s as like the mod model in London. So I think, you know, the judges make the show what it is. And J. Alexander, Miss J, who I was on the show. She was one of the original, correspondents, I'll say. Just like their energy. And then Tyra, she pulls something pretty much every episode, and you just never know what you're going to get. So yeah, there's always something there.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the judges do definitely, I mean, and when they gang up, they can really be a lot. And that was definitely something to behold because it was sort of like, yeah, they took the note of like people are going to respond to seeing people get ravaged a little bit up here. And man, it's like, yeah, but they just definitely they just let it fly. It's like, listen, I'm never any person that's going to be walking on a catwalk in my life or a runway and pretending I can even do what they do. But I'm just like, man, it still seems kind of tough.
Yeah. And I think the whole goal was like for, you know, the contestants to see what the fashion industry is really like. It's going to be this critical. They're going to tell you that you're not the right size, that you're not the right height, that you don't have the right look, and they're not going to be nice about it. And like, I think the whole goal was to like get them ready for like what the industry might be when they become quote unquote America's Next Top Model.
Yeah.
when it really just exposed how shitty the industry actually is.
Yeah.
And it's still like that today. Great news, guys.
I mean, yeah. Well, and it's like anything that's big, like, right? It's like you're talking about the modeling scene in New York, the fashion scene in general, Hollywood, right? Like anything that involves fashion has just like these like unfair expectations of people all around. Like you got to not just look the part, you got to have the gall and the fortitude to survive like that stuff, because people are going to just tell you what you think, because it's like you're gonna be caught by cameras and like millions and millions of people are gonna see you, if not like a billion people, right? It's like you never know. But it's just crazy with what this fame comes. But I guess that's something that is interesting about this show is I think there's various degrees of success for some of these models afterward. But who are like some of your favorites, or like some of the people that you really enjoyed watching on there?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, most of the girls really never found any level of actual success in the high fashion industry.
Really?
Yeah. I can think of maybe 5 out of hundreds.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of them had success in the commercial side of things, you know, like, and there were a few who got successful in like overseas markets like Hong Kong and like Thailand and South America. But yeah, like to speak on just like how successful these girls are after the show, even if they win, generally their contracts expire with CoverGirl or whatever they were with. And then they just kind of fade into nothing, into nowhere. And they just kind of like do advertisements here and there. But
Wow.
yeah, it's interesting. The show really does not help these models become models at all. In fact, it only hurts. But
Yeah. I think it was even like Adrian Curry. I read a quote from her saying like, yeah, like this show very much felt like it was a vehicle for Tyra.
Yeah.
And like something that she could do after her like modeling career like was starting to wane a bit.
100%.
Which like it's a little sad in that regard, but I guess it's also like it comes with like, hey, yeah, I might be doing this for myself, but I'm trying to give people a platform here to at least get some fame on a wide audience, right?
Right.
So it's like, well, you mean probably gonna get more exposed there than anywhere else. It's just a grueling process for low reward.
And you're also just exposing like not just your professional side, but your personal side. If you're doing like the show as altered or, you know, fixated as it might be, it's still like you're getting both sides of the person too, which is a little different. I feel that most models going into the industry, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Oh, but you had asked about like my favorites too. Right?
Yeah. So like who are the people who are worth giving the mentions to?
Yeah. Well, okay. Number 1, Cycle 9. She got 3rd place. Her name is Jenna.
Oh.
She's my number 1. She's great. And yeah, she's my number 1 favorite. And then it's winner of Cycle 6, Danielle.
Mm-hmm.
She was great as well. Second runner-up of Cycle 4, Kaylin. Super good.
What were like some of their personalities too? Because I know like everybody kind of like felt like a different like background, right? Like you have like the villain, or you have like the up and comer, or
Usually the girls I was rooting for was like they had like a rough background.
Sure.
And they were like troubled and they were just like trying to like find their way.
Yeah.
So like another one, Renee, like she was like kind of troubled. And eventually after the show, she actually got like really in trouble with the law.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like super in trouble. But like she got 3rd on the show. She was one of my favorites, like top 5. Oh, I should mention Melrose too. Melrose is not like that at all. She was like the bitch of the show in quotes.
Oh yeah.
Like the diva. And she got 2nd.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are some of my favorites.
Nice.
Yeah. From those cycles.
Did any of them have any like big levels of success afterward, or are they all kind of like suffering from we got outshone by the Tyra spotlight?
Well, I mean, Jenna does not do much modeling anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Danielle, winner of Cycle 6, she actually had a pretty successful commercial career.
Really?
Yep, she was one of the most successful ones, if not the most successful winner of Cycles 1 through 10. Melrose did a lot of commercial work. And then Kaylin quit. Yeah.
Have you ever been like watching TV and then like seen one of them and you're like, oh,
Well, you know, Yaya DaCosta, who was runner-up of Cycle 2, she became a legitimate actor in Hollywood.
oh, cool.
So like you can see her in a bunch of like stuff, and she's been in movies.
Okay. Do you know any movies off the top of your head?
No, I do not.
Is it Yaya with Y's?
Yeah, Yaya. Yaya DaCosta is the name she used on the show. I think she changed it for her acting career.
Oh, not bad at all here. The Lincoln Lawyer. I see.
Yeah, there you go.
We got
She was in Lee Daniels the Butler.
Lee Daniels, the Butler. The Kids Are All Right. That's a movie I liked a bit.
Yeah, The Kids Are All Right. That's another big one. Like she had and then Cycle 11's Annalie Tipton. She was in, I want to say that it's that Steve Carell movie.
Dan in Real Life.
Not that one.
Heaven Almighty.
Not that one. Although,
Foxcatcher.
Okay, not that one. Keep going.
Anchorman.
Nope, not that one.
Anchorman 2, The Legend Continues.
No, it's not that one.
Was Foxcatcher the one where he was like making the models and all that?
No, that's the one where he's the wrestling coach who kills like his.
Oh yeah.
What's the model one? Is it like a name?
It's like Welcome to
Morrowind.
Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, this is just becoming this.
Because I could see that.
Crazy Stupid Love.
Crazy
Stupid Love. The one he like, I think he has an affair with like the babysitter or whatever.
Yeah.
The babysitter is Annalie Tipton. She was on Cycle 11.
Oh,
She like got like
okay.
third place.
I feel like I liked Crazy Stupid Love.
I remember liking it a lot.
That was the first Gosling Emma Stone pairing in that one.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, and America's Next Top Model's like somehow involved, kind of.
It's just sneaking into all these
like
little
sneaking in.
things.
It's web connects them all.
It's the web that connects them. It's the original Madam Web of its day.
Tyra Madam Web Bank.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What about photo shoots though? Like, what were some of the memorable shoots? Because like, I'm still intrigued by the salad bowl. What were some other things like that?
The salad bowl, like that was a really bad one. Another one. Well, one of the good ones that I loved was when they did like in Cycle 9, they did this rock climbing one where they were rock climbing, where they were in these like beautiful gowns. So they would like be on the ropes, but then like be hanging there with the gowns all gorgeous and such. And it was just photographed really well, and I love that one. But I wrote down some of the more memorable ones that were like bad.
Okay.
Salad bowl one not included. One of them was when Kaylin, who I mentioned was one of my favorites.
Sure.
She had just gotten the news that her friend from home had passed away while she was on the show.
Oh god, that's so sad.
They were being driven to the photo shoot that day. And what is the photo shoot? It's in a graveyard.
No.
Of course it is. And guess what they have to do? They have to go down 10 feet into the grave and lie in a coffin looking up at the camera. And it's like that ended up being a great shoot, but it's like those types of situations where you're just like, well, they knew what was going on. They knew exactly what was going on.
Question.
Yeah.
What type of product are you selling when you were modeling in a graveyard?
Shovels.
Stilettos? I don't know. You said
like,
shovels?
yeah.
Yeah, coffins.
I mean,
Nice golden shovels?
into something to come. But or is it like this is a look that could kill?
It was because they were modeling. The whole photo shoot was 7 Deadly Sins. So all of them had to portray one of the 7 deadly sins.
Sure.
And Kaylin's was wrath.
Oh.
And so yeah, it was just like all about embodying characters. So they were just like not modeling anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose she would be angry going to a graveyard after hearing her friend passed.
Seriously. Yeah, it's like, oh.
Oh man, that's tough. But interesting. So yeah, because a graveyard is not the top place that you would think about. But like, was there anything like cool where they like ever? I don't know. I can't even think of like what. It feels like you model in so many different places.
Yeah, I mean, like they've done like riding on elephants. They've done, what is it, Cycle 2? tarantulas on the face.
Oh.
Tarantulas on the face, modeling diamonds. Knowing full well that one of the girls had severe arachnophobia, obviously.
Oh.
So she's like freaking out the whole time. Tarantula on the face.
Do you think they do this shit to him on purpose?
I truly think so. I mean, I think they like have them fill out a questionnaire. Like, what are your worst fears that we can manipulate you with?
Yeah.
And then it's like spiders, heights,
Testing you.
Cash being poured all over me. My greatest fear.
6 week long, full expenses paid trip to the Bahamas.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing next questionnaire I fill out to do anything. I'm going to put all the positives and the negative and switch it around. And then
Oh,
it'll
there
work
you
out
go.
for me.
It's like this man likes moldy bananas. What's wrong with him? Interesting though. It's a crazy thing, I think, to think about the modeling world in general and then the wider thing and making a whole series out of it. Cause it was like, I think in like the other episode I watched was from Cycle 9 where they go to Hong Kong or was it in Hong Kong? And I'm trying to
Yeah, they go to Beijing and Shanghai, I'm pretty sure. They
That
might
was
go to
it.
Hong Kong too, yeah.
yeah. Okay. I'm
It's
sorry.
the
Oh, no.
go see.
They might take a day trip. You're probably right.
Well, I mean, but either way,
Either way.
they are overseas, yes, in Eastern Asia. But yes, but it's just it's a crazy scope to the amount of things that you would do for modeling because it's like once you do make it, you do get you're asked to do a lot of crazy stuff. So I think as much as like some of these things seem ridiculous, it's like, that there's companies or there's designers out there that are going to ask you to do these things. It's like the fucking, I think of the Dior shoot with Johnny Depp like in the desert with his guitar.
Yeah.
Or no, is that Dior? I don't even know.
Well, there's the one with Adam Driver where he's just swimming with a horse in the water, and then all of a sudden he's a centaur. Like,
Yeah, that is a very confusing thing to watch.
yeah.
Yeah. Because you're like, I thought Adam Driver already was a centaur. Pretty, like, but like those big brands though, like Chanel, Tom Ford, Dolce and Gabbana, like those are the money brands. Calvin Klein,
Right.
and like America's Next Top Model really never came close to even working with any of that stuff.
Yeah, I was about to ask that.
Except in like there was a brief period in like cycle 15, 16 era, 14, where they for some reason somehow got a contract with Vogue Italia, which is the most exclusive in a shoot with Steven Meisel, which is like the most top photographer. Not sure how it happened.
Wow.
Not sure how it happened.
Tyra called in some favors.
I swear Tyra called in some favors because like I was just like, something's off here. Something is off here.
you brought up all those big, companies, Tom Ford and the like, Dior, and I feel like going back to how hard the industry is. Another reason why those aren't usually showing up probably for like Next Top Model is if you go somewhere like in Europe and you see these big posters of these, ads, it's like Brad Pitt and Timothy Chalamet. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like commercial work for actors.
Can be. Yeah, like a lot of celebrities do get cast in these, but there is an entire modeling like fashion industry where actual models do get those like Louis Vuitton ads, Chanel ads, all that stuff. And you'll be like, oh, I think I see that. You see their faces for like a year, right? All over billboards. And you're like, well, I don't recognize them. That's just a random woman, but it's actually like a model. And they're probably from like Poland or something.
Yeah. So I don't know a lot about the modeling world other than what I've gotten exposed to through this show.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about like commercial work, that's referring to like billboards, TV ads.
Commercial work more so in the sense of like commercial brands like like a Hollister
Sure.
or like but that's even like top of the line
Yeah.
commercial work out more like Target ads, Kohl's, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm holding my jacket and I'm a mom in this ad. That kind of stuff. Whereas high fashion work would be like the Vogue Italia, the Chanel, the anything European, and then anything like super expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of like taking photography for those people or if you're like modeling like clothing for like like Dolce & Gabbana or something.
Exactly.
Right?
And I should say Dolce & Gabbana has a very problematic history, so I should strike them from the record that I ever said that they're a prestigious brand. Drama.
So much
Some of
drama.
those old European fashion companies have some dark history.
Yeah.
But
Especially
what about
around World War II.
Exactly, Hugo Boss.
Yeah. Was that in House of Gucci? Is Gucci Italian, right? It's
Gucci's Italian, yeah.
I saw House of Gucci. I don't
stupidest
remember
question
any
I've
of
ever
that.
asked.
No, it's fine. Like, yeah, Gucci. Wait, I thought I had no idea what it was before I looked it up. Like,
Yeah.
how would you know?
I just know they cast a lot of Italians in that movie, or Italian-looking people in that movie.
House of Gucci.
Yeah.
Yeah. Italian looking people doing very perfect Italian accents.
Lady
throughout the whole
Gaga?
thing. Oh, yeah. Well, she had created a whole new accent for that, which
Yes, her own special accent.
if you come in with something completely different, it works versus trying to like, just do it again.
My God, though, that's funny. I want to watch that, but we don't know if America's Next Top Model and anybody got into the House of Gucci, do we?
No one ever did.
I didn't.
Sorry, nope. Fatima walked Hermes. That was pretty close. Fatima from Cycle 10 walked Hermes, and that's a Paris brand, and that's a big one.
Whoa,
That's a big one.
man, that's pretty crazy. I mean, it's good to know that some people did have some success, because I think where we should probably head to next is our Show Me the Franchise segment. So this is our rebranded coulda, woulda, shoulda for the longtime listeners, but for all you new listeners, this is where we talk about things that we wish could have happened, still should happen, or things that maybe would happen. And I guess that's our question for you first, Michael. Is there anything that you feel like, is there opportunity for like maybe like a reboot or something like that? Or is there things that you wish you would have seen from the past seasons?
Wow, yeah, that's a great question because I really don't think America's Next Top Model should have ever been on TV to begin with.
Really?
Oh yeah, no, it's a terrible, terrible show, and it was a bad show for young people to watch because
Yeah.
it dealt with terrible. It was all a lot of. It gave a lot of people body issues. It gave a lot
Yeah.
of people really low self-esteem from watching these girls be pretty much criticized to their bones about their normal bodies, and it's
Right.
like I really don't think it should have ever been on. I love it for what it is, which is trash, but
We love trash on this.
yeah, we love
podcast.
trash. Yeah, no, I mean, what I think could have been done differently would be Tyra not being involved at all.
Wow.
Yeah, no. I would have put in the later seasons, Paulina Poroskova comes in as a judge. She's a legitimate. I shouldn't say Tyra is a legitimate model, but Tyra had a brief stint in high fashion,
Mm-hmm.
and then she got picked up by Victoria's Secret, and that's where she became famous and made her money. But
Mm-hmm.
Paulina and Twiggy, and there are loads and loads of other, much more qualified hosts who could have had the reins on that.
Yeah.
Would have provided less drama and less of histrionic experience.
Yeah. Or like a self-serving agenda in a way.
Yeah, and it could have been more focused on like those earlier cycles, 1, 2, a little bit of 3, 2, like actually focusing on learning about the fashion industry,
Right.
and getting them actually educated, because most of those contestants really had no idea and probably knew about as much as you two do about the fashion industry.
I mean, listen, I'm fascinated by everything I'm learning today still. But yeah, it's also fascinating to hear you kind of say that too, because it's like, yeah, usually when we do have a franchise, people are like, oh yeah, I would love to see this get rebooted. It should be happening again. It's like, because I think, yeah, there's a lot of problematic things, and it's even beyond fashion and modeling. It's with a lot of just everything we see in advertising, and like just a lot of incorporating a lot of bad habits. I mean, for Christ's sake, it took us to what? Like, and there's still ads for tobacco and stuff. Like, it's like, yeah, this has been going on for a long time with people pushing shit in your face that you do not need and things that you do that are bad for you.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, you still look at something like America's Next Top Model, and you have, here's still an opportunity in its crux of the show, right? Of like giving someone an opportunity to go and do something. And yeah, it's a bummer to hear that like a lot of people did not make it at the end of the day.
Right.
And it's like, well, then what was it all for? You know, other than, you get 1 out of 10 or whatever, actually get somewhere and get something good. Cause even it's like the 2nd or 4th best people on American Idol will get like a record contract and actually have pretty decent careers. I mean, look at who's the lead singer of Queen right now.
Oh, Adam Lambert.
Adam Lambert.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say American Idol has a much higher success rate. Even though, like legitimately Kelly Clarkson, Jennifer Hudson,
Clay
Aiken, Fantasia,
Carrie Underwood.
Like those are legitimate stars, but in off of America's Next Top Model, there has been legitimately no one.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is true. This is complete guess, but I also feel with American Idol building a career around a talent such as like singing, post American Idol is probably a little easier than modeling because of just how, age is a factor for what they want. I feel, like these are all pretty young people. So I don't know if this is interesting television. It's probably not, but we talk about how Tyra has this career after being a model. I think it'd be kind of interesting to see like, okay, you have people wanting to be model. How do you inject that into a career in the business that's not necessarily modeling? How do you bridge that gap to still be a part of it?
Right. Or you even think about how I don't know. I mean, she does have like almost like this acting bug to her, right?
Yeah.
Like these things that are, I don't know, not the intangibles. That's not exactly what I am, but I think it is. That's what you have to be a successful model, right? It's what you kind of learn even from watching the show, even for like an episode or two, is like you need a certain intangible, you need a certain fortitude. And it's like, it would have been interesting to kind of see them like work more outside that reality a little bit. I mean, I think there was elements of that from what we saw, right? You have the acting coach coming in.
Right.
Great.
I mean, and it's like Tyra, she really isn't truthful either. And she alludes to it and she like does their whole criticism. But the reality is like, and the sad reality is that the actual fashion industry is really just about proportions.
Yeah.
And like, it sucks, but like, and they're making efforts to change it. And there's all different types of body sizes on the runway and in pictures and everything and in advertisements like that now. But back then it truly was 5'10", a certain hip size, a certain, everything. And almost none of the girls would have fit into those standards.
Right.
And so it was really kind of like they'll get commercial work. They might be able to, do a purse ad for Kohl's.com. But no, they're never going to be on the runways in Paris.
Yeah. But also I think to your point too, Fred, you were talking about talent, like being a musician. There's also a lot of genres to enter. Fashion world.
Very true.
You just kind of laid it out for us. There's not a lot of places you can go. And they only keep a few people on retainer, like per each of these companies. Like, so there's significantly higher bars being set for being a successful model than being a successful singer. Mm-hmm. Not that I would ever compare one or the other to either, but it's like for the respective industry, you need to be the top 1% versus the top 10%.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, we just talked about it too, right? You get a guy who's writing music for Carly Rae Jepsen and
right.
Mm-hmm. That was kind of the example I was thinking of. Like, there's ways you can kind of still be a part of it, and that seems less of a thing with the modeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of different like jobs, but like, I think Tyra set that precedent of we're learning how to be in the high fashion industry.
Yeah.
This is what it's like in Milan and in Paris, and it's like you're setting these girls up for disappointment and failure.
Right.
Right.
But like you said, like what are different ways they could get involved, like stylist or, doing the commercial side of modeling or, hand modeling or stuff like that.
And wasn't that Project Runway too? Like the whole designer end of it too?
Yeah.
Like being a fashion designer and
I didn't know that. I was curious what the kind of difference between the two because I hadn't watched either until now.
Yeah, which is funny because I guess that is the thing you were after a little bit. Because wasn't it Heidi Klum and someone else?
Yeah, Heidi Klum.
Yeah, so a former model who was also being like, okay, here I'm gonna like be a fashion judge.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't get too much into Project Runway for whatever reason, but
Yeah, it's a different show.
definitely a different show. Yeah.
Less catty, as I recall, but I watched it a long time ago too. Probably as long ago as you got into Cycle 4 of America's Next Top Model. But yeah, either way, I mean, it's still fascinating to talk because I think it is such an interesting time capsule. And I think somebody, was writing an article that I was reading about the show and just talking about what is sign of the time, something like, America's Next Top Model probably doesn't get made right now. Like there might not be the same kind of space for something like that where there's the promise that you are going to be a model. Plus, I think people are more open and aware of the types of issues that people are facing with like social and mental issues of like, like you're talking about body issues, right? It's like, yeah, this is like the last thing people need is like, how do I become a model? But I think it's such an interesting thing because it was also a pioneer in the reality genre. We talked about that already, but it's just like, there would be nothing like it. I mean, people were trying to throw everything at it. I talked about that fucking show. There was Surreal Life. Like that show is also like, why do we want to watch B-list celebrities? Yeah, but people did.
Yeah,
they just threw everything out there, and it's fascinating to see how reality TV is developed now. And just watching even like Top Chef between where it started, which was around the same time of when America's Next Top Model took off to where it is now. It's a different show. It's definitely still focused on the cooking because that's kind of like the crux of it. But you could just see as the seasons even evolved. It was the same with how the cycles evolved too. It's like, oh, we can have more contestants. We can have more twists. We can bring people back. We can, introduce different types of judges. There's popular judges that come along. Former contestants become judges.
Yeah, I love that. Like the one show that I watch like this is MasterChef Junior. And I love it when they bring back like contestant from 3, 4, 5 years ago because it'll be like a teenager. Yeah. And then all the little kid chefs know who this person is and they just like freak out.
That's fun.
Whenever Tyra will bring back former contestants, former winners usually. And whenever they come back, they always have this like confidence about them and this glow. And then all the girls are just like adoring them. And they're just like, girls, I know where you've been and I know how you're feeling right now, but just keep your chin up. Okay. Like, it's just like that, like older cousin energy.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it.
It would be kind of fun now that we're just kind of like pulling this back and forward. But if you did do something similar, even to like, here's how you do like the makeup and all that, but it was run by the former contestants of America's Next Top Model and giving them the platform that Tyra always kind of took, right? And being like, here's your thing. If it is like, like you're talking about like contestant Jenna or something like that, right? Or like whoever it was. It's like you get these people in and now they run the show, and it's like, and they are doing more the things that they knew Tyra was never going to do.
Well, that's the thing. Like they did, I think in one of the last 2 or 3 seasons, those are not hosted by Tyra. Those are hosted by someone else. So I'm pretty sure it's Ashley Graham, who's another model.
Okay.
Who is, I would say, like one of the top models of today. Commercially, she's they would call her, Tyra would call her a quote unquote plus size model. Just because she's not the typical proportions. But no, she's awesome. And they did bring her in to host. And we did have some Tyra free cycles.
Oh, I feel like I recognize Ashley Graham.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks familiar.
Yeah. That's pretty cool though. Yeah. And it's definitely nice to have somebody who is not, like you said, the typical like thin rail model too. So I was like, here, there's also like plus size and something that's could be a little different.
I did, I've often dreamt, when I go to the Destination XL store, there's these gentlemen that look like me in these pictures, and I always thought, like, could I get into this game, the Destination XL, casual XL fashion for model, big size model guys? I learned the problem is gotta have a beard. Apparently,
Oh, the
Ah,
beard's
all
the
of
key.
them have beards. There is not a single guy without a beard.
you got to
for
dab
like-
some Rogaine on your chin.
Will that work?
I don't know. And then you got to give him blue steel. Now there's the Zoolander reference. I got it.
You're going in.
Got it in there. Yeah, no, it's super. I don't know. I would wonder how it would be like to try and get into any kind of modeling game, even like that. But I think you could pull it off, man.
You think so?
Absolutely.
The first beardless Destination XL model, I could get in.
You got a fresh cut. I'm losing my hair. There's no way I'm getting any contracts for my modeling. So
Get out of here.
Oh, I was wrong, by the way. It wasn't Ashley Graham. Ashley Graham was a judge, but it was actually Rita Ora who hosted.
oh yeah,
That's the name that sounds.
Rita Ora.
Taika's wife, right?
Yes.
Taika
Oh,
Waititi's?
That's why.
Yep.
Or a partner. I'm sorry, I don't know if he's married to her or not.
Yeah. But that's that.
My mind first went to, is it Rita Moreno? Is from West
Rita
Side
Moreno or whatever?
I was like, that's an interesting choice. I
This is like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon right now. Rita Moreno.
Deborah Messing, Deborah Winger.
Yeah, it's a callback to last week. Fred confused Deborah Winger for Deborah Messing, but it was trying to make a joke about the band Winger.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
It was really funny. Yeah.
you had to be there.
Yeah.
Oh wait, so I want to actually play
Yes,
the Tyra's freak out from Cycle 4.
please do.
And then I just want that to be on the record.
Do you know that you had a possibility to win? Do you know that all of America is rooting for you? Do you know that? And then you come in here and you treat this like a joke? You come in here and look at that and say, I can't read that. You read 10 times better than half of those girls over there.
You did.
And you come in here with a defeatist attitude.
I don't have a bad attitude. Maybe I am angry inside. I've been through stuff, so I'm angry.
Yes,
Everybody-
but it's not, this is not, be
Okay,
quiet,
but
Tiffany.
everybody
Be
down with
quiet.
it. That's
What is
I'm
wrong
not
with
trying
you?
to- but you're not-
Stop it! I have never in my life yelled at a girl like this. When my mother yells at this, it's because she loves me. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you? Learn something from this. When you go to bed at night, you lay there and you take responsibility for yourself, because nobody's going to take responsibility for you. You roll in your eyes and you act like this because you've heard it all before. You've heard it all before. You don't know where the hell I come from. You have no idea what I've been through. But I'm not a victim. I grow from it and I learn. Take responsibility for yourself.
And then take responsibility for yourself is how she ends it.
Wow. I mean, over somebody who got eliminated, right?
Oh, yeah, she was already eliminated. It was
Who I would say was not making a joke out of it, was taking her loss in stride. Is how I would say a reaction. She was negative on the episode. I will give Tyra that, but that was definitely unwarranted.
yeah, I think it was definitely unwarranted. Maybe there was a history backstage that we didn't know about. Like maybe there was like a mentor situation going on, like where Tyra was like ultimately disappointed. Whatever, I don't know, but it was just like, where did that come from? But on that same cycle, another contestant, Rebecca, who also got eliminated that night,
Yeah.
during the panel, suddenly Rebecca's eyes roll back into her head and she falls straight back and faints.
Oh my God.
And everyone freaks out, and Tyra's like, oh my God, and goes up to her. Apparently she has a medical condition where when she gets she probably just hadn't eaten and was super tired, and that all came into play too. But just fainting on not live, but fainting on TV. Just so much drama in these
LBC.
episodes.
And Tyra saw that and she was like, I'm gonna use that.
Yeah, this is going in the episode.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so wild. Perhaps that is a perfect segue then to talk about the power rankings for this week, gents. Talking about the best moments, or the top 3 moments. Maybe they're not the best. Maybe they're just the top 3 memorable moments from America's Next Top Model.
Yeah, okay. So one that immediately comes to mind
Yes.
is Cycle 6.
Okay.
Jade Cole.
Mm-hmm.
Jade gets 3rd on that cycle. And Jade, if you know anything about this one, Jade is just the ultimate character of America's Next Top Model. Quotes like, this is the number one quote I think she gives is, "This is not America's Next Top best friend." Unprompted for the most part. She's just like going on this tirade in the house, like walking around, kind of bothering people. And just like that is in there at one point, and it's the greatest. And another point in one episode, Jade like kisses a cockroach that she's on the runway with. Ugh. Jade just like does a lot, and she's great. So I think Jade, the existence of Jade Cole is one of the top greatest moments of America's Next Top Model.
That's crazy. I love it.
And then I think what we already talked about the other two. I think they both exist in cycle 4. Number 2 is when Rebecca faints. Mm-hmm. And then I think number 1 is when Tyra yells at Tiffany.
Yeah.
I think that's got to be number 1 ultimate best moment in America's Next Top Model history.
I'm glad we have a sound clip now to go with that too.
Right. Yeah. I'm very happy you played that.
Yeah.
I needed to because it is one of my greatest joys.
I'm almost considering putting that like right at the top of the episode because I feel like that's going to set the tone.
What's funny though, while I was watching it, I was like, can we somehow like work in a bit at the end of this episode where I just like yell at you like that? Like, Tom, I thought you were in this.
I never in my life yelled at a Tom like this.
Oh my gosh. It is crazy. But yeah, I mean, I think those highlight the show very well. It's a lot of like colorful cast of characters. It is Tyra being Tyra. And yeah, ultimately it's these girls who are literally just kind of like, I don't know, just really struggling to get to the top here. They go through a lot. We talk about like kind of like how they like just wouldn't eat and all that. And
yeah. And I think like Tyra just like, you know, they all worship Tyra. You can just tell by the way they're screaming and crying and freaking out. You know, some of that's the producers trying to amp it up, but like they really see her as like a goddess of the fashion industry, the modeling industry. So it's like, yeah, they just put themselves through a lot.
Yeah. But made good television for 17 plus cycles. It's crazy.
24
total.
I think 24 total. I think that's the number.
And then it went off the air in
before about
2015, as I did confirm that. So
cycles, and I should know, but I just dropped off after those.
But that's a pretty good run for 12 years, you know. Plus, like,
okay, yeah, 24 total cycles. 24.
More flavors than in a Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it. I said that wrong. More cycles than flavors in a Dr. Pepper.
There you
go. You can use that one.
Yeah. Don't say that. They won't know.
Don't use that one.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're using the reverse logic of your questionnaire.
I have one thing real quick.
Oh.
I don't want to like dig too far, but I did think, and this is just kind of all reality TV, I did think that there was just some great lines. I just have one where I was like, this feels like a Christopher Guest movie, you know, just like that good reality. And my favorite one was when they were in China and it was like they had interpreters and they had to go to several different shoots in a day.
Yes, the go-sees.
Right. Yeah. And they were having a lot of trouble getting places. And one of them said, the directions were all in Chinese, so it was all Greek to me.
I want to say that was Heather who said that. Oh my God.
I feel she said that and had no idea how funny of a line that is.
Yeah. There are certain like lines like that where like just that hold with you for your entire life. It's going to stick with me for my entire life.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
It's so good. It does feel like a Christopher Guest line. Well, I do think that gets us now to the end of our episode here, gentlemen. Michael, thank you so much for being a guest this week. Before we let you go, though, is there anything you would like to plug?
Yeah. So May 31st.
Yes.
Stein Improv with special guest Fred Dakin, right?
Dakin.
Fred Dakin. Fred Dakin. Stein Improv with special guest Fred Dakin is at the Brick House here in Milwaukee, May 31st. At 8 p.m. And then I'm also would love to plug that I'm performing at Milwaukee Pride Fest June 8th, Saturday, June 8th at 7:15.
Nice.
Yeah.
I did see that. That's very exciting.
Very cool.
And you can definitely, through, whatever the comedy social medias, all that stuff, I feel I always see your name, always excited to see it behind so many great shows.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Very, very heavily involved, right? And still doing comedy sports too, is right?
Yep, still doing comedy sports. You can see me there a couple times a month usually. Yep.
Perfect. Yep, check that out. Does Stein Improv, do they have a website?
No, but we're on Instagram at STEIN Improv.
Awesome.
Yes.
So check that out. This will be same day drop if you're listening live with the first listen of the day. But
Tonight.
you'll see Fred and Michael tonight.
Yes. Beautiful.
That was so good.
I love it. Fred, anything else you would like to plug?
Nope. I'm just going to let you plug the podcast. It was really great having you here, Michael. I really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on and getting us to expand our worlds a little bit, because I don't know that we would have covered. We had nobody talking about this yet. So now we are. I feel like I learned a lot about modeling.
It's really just me still talking about it. That's just me and a few of my online buds.
But it's, I don't know. It's still worthwhile.
Yeah, and I love episodes like this where it's not like we're coming to the plate with years of love and knowledge of something where we feel we have to like construct and have takes. It was really nice hearing why you love it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the less shitty version of the meme of the guy like sitting behind the table, like, convince me about this. You know? And you said it best, broaden our horizons, check something else new. So it was really great.
Yeah, and hopefully we broaden all the horizons of everybody listening as well. So thank you for joining us again, Michael, and thank you all for listening. If you would like to rate and review this episode, just scroll down a little bit in your podcast app. Leave us a rating of 5 stars. If you really liked what you were hearing today, write us a review. Those always help too. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, although YouTube's been kind of finicky lately, so if you don't go there as much, I'm not going to push you there. But we do have a channel. We'll be pushing some more stuff out there. We do have a Patreon. Come find us on our Patreon. Show Me the Franchise, what you call Show Me the Patreon right now. We'll come up with a more clever name later. But and stay tuned for next time, where we'll be talking about Twin Peaks.
Just you and I together.
It'll be a damn fine episode. Thanks again, Michael, for being here. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.
All I wanna do is charge my phone, drive, listening to you. And what they taught you about will